What's up, internet? My name's Ori. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You like this video? Hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll never miss a video. You'll never miss a stream. Today, we're breaking down the second episode for season 34 of The Amazing Race. And I like this episode. There were some parts where I guess kind of needed to plug my ears, but other than that, I thought it was pretty cool, especially with how things played out towards the end and some of the foreshadowing that we had earlier in the episode. But let's start off right at the top. It had the contestants going from Germany to Austria, and all the teams, they actually departed in groups based on how they finished the previous leg. So you had 3 different groups. They had different times that they would then be released, and some other kind of interesting things just from the very start of this that I thought would be kind of cool to see how this would play out in the future of the race. It seemed like Tim and Rex, Tim and Rex, they had a little bit of an alliance going with Marcus and Michael. At the very least, they all seemed to really get along. They were kind of teaming up at the end of the last leg to kind of find the pit stop, and now here, when they were getting directions, they were kind of working together to find their way. So I thought it would be interesting to see how that played out, but we'll get to that by the end of this video. Bit of a mix-up here, a big mix-up for the cheerleaders. They got directions, they thought they knew where they were going, they head to that location, and they were on the right street, but in the wrong city, in the wrong country. And this is a big hole that they're going to now have to dig themselves out of if they do not want to be last place and be eliminated. Remember, there's no non-elimination legs this season, so there are no second chances. If you are last, you are eliminated from the race, so you need to make it there. With that takes us to the roadblock, and BB23 contestants Claire and Derek, they get there first. It was a Yodelayhe competition. Pretty much they had this yodeling routine they had to memorize. Well, not even memorize, they had cue cards for it, but they had to read it off there, and it was more of like replicating what your instructor was saying and doing, and then performing that as in front of the whole group, and then get judged, and then you would eventually get your clue to be able to move on. Lots of different teams struggled with this. One thing that I thought that was kind of interesting, it was just something I didn't know about him prior to the show, even though I was aware of him. Rex Ryan said that he had dyslexia, and it was just kind of really something that I found fascinating, especially since he had so much success in football, and I'm sure with having that, it wouldn't have been that easy to communicate, football plays and stuff like that. So to have as much success as he had in his life, it was really kind of something that was inspiring, that he had that difficulty, but was able to do so much and didn't let it hold him back. And even here, he struggled, but he didn't let it hold him back. He did really well with it, not as well as some of the others, especially Michael, who was the first one to get finished, giving Michael and Marcus kind of a lead heading on out of there. Glenda, though, crushed it. I think she did it in one attempt. I literally think she did it one time and then was able to get on out of there. So her and Lumba, they were able to get on out real quick. Another thing that was kind of interesting, it was on their way there, the Mer ferry thing. So Rich and Dom, they're driving, and she talks about how she, like, her hair, it's, reflecting of the colors that are inside of her, and it's like her mermaid fairy self. I'm gonna let you guys unpack that one. But back to the yodeling, because again, a lot of the team struggled with this, no more so than Claire. Claire had a really hard time with this. She self-admittedly said she was tone deaf. She wasn't actually diagnosed with it, she said, but then Derek chimed in saying, "Oh no, listen, I'll diagnose you. You are tone deaf." So she had a really hard time with it. They were the first ones to get there, and almost the last ones to leave, except lucky for them, the cheerleaders had that mix up with the directions. They only showed up to the roadblock when they were leaving. So it just kind of a lucky situation for Derek and Claire to not be in last place and be the last ones to leave after such a big lead. That takes us to the detour, and the teams had choice between two different things. It was bells ringing or partners swinging. The bells ringing, it was basically a bunch of different bells, all kind of lettered, and they had to follow a bit of sheet music to replicate a song to go along with kind of an organist. And it seemed like it was a bit difficult, but we also had partner swinging, which was your standard choreography thing that they would do on The Amazing Race, where you had to kind of learn a dance routine and perform it, and then be able to get your clue. Not sure what one I would have necessarily chose or preferred. It seemed like the dancing was easier, but in the moment, not exactly knowing what each of them was, I probably would have ended up going with bells ringing. I feel like that one would have been more one that called to me and suited my skill set. But it didn't really matter, what the teams chose in the end. But one thing that was interesting, so as everybody was showing up, and they mentioned it a couple of times when they first got to the yodeling, they had these crazy costumes on with hats and dresses and all different kind of lederhosen. Is that what those shorts are called? Is that lederhosen? I don't know. But they had all that stuff on. And they mentioned this a few times. They're like, hey, make sure you have all your costume or make sure you have all your belongings. And it really felt like it was foreshadowing something later on in the episode, which it did. And we'll get to that. But I was like, oh, this is gonna bite somebody, isn't it? This is really gonna mess somebody's whole race up just by forgetting something. But we'll get to that. As far as everything that happened with it, I will say once again, traditional Austrian music, just with peace and love. Not a fan. The bells and the dance, the yodeling earlier, it was a bit rough. I had to turn the volume down on my television because it was giving me a bit of a headache. Michael and Marcus ended up coming in first. They did the bell task, and we were able to do that fairly easily. They were the first to arrive. They were happy to be first, but one thing I really liked was they weren't just going to settle on that, right? They were like, look, we're first, but there were definitely things we have to improve and work on if we want to win this whole thing. So I like that mentality of being happy but not complacent. They want to push to do even better. Glenda and Lumumba, they finished second. Linton and Sharik, they finished third. Derek and Claire made up a lot of time. They ended up coming in fourth place. So even though they had a very devastating first half with the yodeling, they were able to kind of pull back, make it into fourth place. Then, everybody else kind of got to where they were going, and we finally got a little bit of what that foreshadowing was for. Rich and Dom, they get there. I'm pretty sure they were 8th place, and they went from 8th place to 9th place because they forgot the hat that Dom was supposed to be wearing the whole time. So they didn't even know where they lost it. They were like, maybe it's in the car. Let's go check. They ran off to go find it. That meant that they got back just before the cheerleaders, who came in 10th, and then the last place team was Tim and Rex. They just couldn't get the bells to go well. They were doing all right, and Rex was doing his best to kind of, encourage Tim along, who really seemed to be like the one who was struggling with it more. But they did end up coming in last. So yeah, kind of sad to see Rex go so early, especially because like Phil said, we were hoping to see more antics from them. We saw some, but we wanted more. So I was excited to see more from especially Rex, but this comes to an end of their race, and they will be sent packing. The cheerleaders doing a great job of being all the way back, just coming in and crushing the yodeling. They did really well with that. The dance, which they were very confident in, they did well with that as well. And Rich and Dom almost sinking their whole race because of a hat. Because of a hat. Whew, that would have been devastating. That would have been absolutely devastating if you got eliminated just because you forgot your hat in the car. And I've seen it before. It's happened before on the race there where people have, not been able to finish because they forgot their passport somewhere or they forgot their, bag at one of the locations. So they had to go back and find those things and then be able to finish the race. But yeah, with this foreshadowing, I was like, oh man, is this really gonna mess them up? And for a minute there, I thought that Rich and Dom were gonna be out of this thing, but they were just able to beat the cheerleaders. And then it seemed like there was a bit of time between Tim and Rex. It seemed like they had an extra bit of time there to be able to get there. They seemed like they were a dead last, and it wasn't that close of a situation for them. But what did you guys think of the episode? As far as everything went, I'm really dinging it. As favorites go, it's kind of hard to always pick favorites, but I guess, Derek and Claire, they're still up there for me. Emily and Molly, I just love the whole dynamic that they have, right? They're twins who only had just met, so they were raised completely separately, didn't even know that the other existed. So them kind of finding out more about each other, and then what was kind of cool is like by finding out more about the other, they're finding out stuff about themselves. So that was just all really interesting. I like their story as well. Lytton and Trick, oh man, they are great. I really like them a lot. So yeah, those are probably my top three favorite teams at the moment. Marcus and Michael, they impressed me on this leg as well. So maybe I'll put them up there. But let me know in the comments down below what you think. Who are your favorites? What did you think of the episode? Let me know in those comments right down there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, smash that like button. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, you never miss a stream. I did post late last night the recap for Survivor, so if you're a fan of Survivor, you can go check that video out as well. And then I'm also still working on the Big Brother kind of retrospective of the season. It's a lot to go over. I'm rewatching all the episodes. I'm watching my updates just to kind of keep notes of week by week, recording things as I go. So it's going to be a long one, but I think it's going to be a good one that you guys are going to like. So keep an eye out for that if you like Big Brother. And once again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.